In a way, the sun had sunk. We had to move before it was completely dark. I switched to the other rope I had here and went down to Saranaga. Alright, we made it down. But what was I to do with Mako? Considering the story I made up, I couldn't bring her with me. Alright, I make her wait. Mako-chan, can you wait for me behind this rock?
どれくらい
2 or 3 hours. You can sleep if you want, but if someone comes, don't come out.
お腹すいた
You can eat anything that's in the bag there. There's lots of sweets there. You can't eat them all normally, but I'll let you do it this one time. She ran off. I turned around.
来やがったか。なんつう霧だよ。10歩先も見えやしねえ。
Sheep.
茶番は終わりだっつったよな。あ
Yeah, sorry for the wait.
なんだったんだよ。一連の茶番はよ。
Well, I thought you missed your ex and tried to chase after me in a weird way, so I figured I'd just ignore you.
聞くだけ無駄だった。てめえはそういうやつだよ、春秋。
So you're as good as your word, huh?
こんなのは無理なんだいっつんだよ、バカ。
Behind her, there were 3 rubber boats with oars.
これからどうすんだっけ
A group acting all days is gonna come here soon. Tell them something godlike and keep them safe in some launch
後半はいいけど、前半は何なんだよ。
Just play along with their superstitions, you know, a thing or two about the place. This is right.
めんどくせえ。
Just so you know, you shouldn't act like you did as a convenience
ありゃ
worker.
相手がてめえだからやったんだからな。いくら俺でもあんな非常識じゃねえっての。
So it was some
マジで殺すぞ。
I can ask you about your powers and background and the organization backing you, yeah?
ああ、まあ、もう会うことはねえし、聞かなくても問題ねえだろ。
That's what you said the first time we broke up. Yeah, here we are, and what was that, in a way? An incident?
偶然だ。と言いたいとこだが、まあ、縁ってやつかもしれねえな。
You being serious?
世の中そういうもんだからな。
There's nothing more reliable than a serious Mitsuji. I'll believe
本
you.
気っぽく見えるてめえほど信じられないものはねえけどな。
We laughed. Anyways, let's get serious.
もうすぐ俺は黒幕に捕まるぞ。
You were still bearing it?
まだってなんだおい。こっちは必死に時間稼いでるつもりなんだぞ。
I see, I see. So that's why nothing's happened. Thank you. Helped a lot. Guess I have a lot. Well, I have all the more reason to hurry.
まあ、一応気をつけろ。
It feels all. It feels all you do is recently is sending me to my death.
父って
Well, you helped me out just now, so I hope that doesn't change.
いいから無事に帰ってこい。別に迎えはしねえけど、死んだら後で目覚めが悪い。
Roger that. I'll try to survive.
いや、考えてみたら、てめえが死んだらどのみちゲームオーバーだから、別にいらねえ、連絡。
That's mean. Oh well, I'll
まず
go.
は神様を殺したんだっけか
Yeah, now I'll be doing your job. Kill the master of the loop. I had to deal with the master of the loop who wanted the monster resurrected. This one didn't need as much preparation or acting skills as the first one. All the information I gathered over the loops was enough to make me certain by now. I just had to face the person one-on-one and be completely honest. That was easy. But the person was the problem. I'd probably be walking on a fine line here. I had no idea how well my thoughtness, guts, and veracity would hold up against the enemies. And once the final mystery was revealed, I wasn't sure I'd have to have what it took to properly retaliate, something I'd have to reconsider at the moment. how to do it.
春秋。
I got up on the cliff again and hid near the graveyard. The mist was dense. I couldn't see much, but I was used to it. I soon saw the people Yasumizu, absently minded, make their way down. Everyone besides the old wolf guy was there. Good. After confirming that, I went to the plaza. He was standing alone there. You didn't run or go wild? I'm impressed. It's fine, drop the act. It's your job, isn't it? Taking care of us, such escapees, I mean. Please stop the act, I'll make things easier. He was putting his hand into his clothes to take out a weapon, surely. Unfortunately for him, I already knew his cards. I'm sure I'm your disciple. Well, I won't get into the details, but basically without you, I couldn't have saved them. I'm saying I'll let you live because of that. His eyes were filled with the silent anger. Well, the police probably won't know what happened about the incident from 6 years ago. And if you have a change of heart and decide to protect Yasumizu, there's really no problem in letting you live. The Meguru will start to crumble. Nothing will happen today or any other misappearance that follows. That means there might be something good in store for this place. Your job and hideout will be gone. They'll find out about the waterway. And the people at Yasumizu won't ever see you as just see now. You didn't realize there were two people with guns back there. The one was not Chimi, was aiming at you all the time so they could kill you from up close. You're old. You can only kill people in the mist while wearing a wolf outfit and using the authority of God. If you charge at me, I can easily dodge and get the ground, step on you, and kill you. You can only beat me with surprise attacks or by spiking my drink with a numbing drug. But you can't do that now. Even if you stay here, the locals will be wary of you. This will be no longer your fortress. Now you either have to bow to them and have them protect you until you die, or call your Tokyo contact and go somewhere else. One or the two. You had plenty of fun, didn't you? He... He raised his blade and took an unexpected fast step towards me, then tripped. I told you. Oh boy, his dagger went through his mouth and straight into his brain. Heaven's judgment is slow, but sure. I wanted him to die more painfully. Death doesn't suit a villain like him. The grass is tied. Whose prank is this? Whoever it was, they have my thanks. I don't want to feel guilty though, so I'll undo it. I'm satisfied with the result. I thought about this and that, but as long as he was alive, I'd have surely been in danger to someone's life. That was all that he done in his whole life, and he was best to accept his death the way it was. Leaving his corpse, I went off and had to. Of course, he wasn't the one in charge of the dream, so he wasn't my real target. Extra mission, get rid of the latent threat, the old man complete. Mission 2, dealing with the master of the loop. Not in the dining hall, back home, then maybe here. The culprit plan must have changed badly. Good evening, Reikako. She was right there. No need for that. You know everything, don't you?
うさいし春秋様お待ちして
The
おりま
two
した。
the two acquaintances who had never met exchanged a greeting. It was a very normal greeting, but that was what made it warped and strange. What an honor.
でもこんな形ではの何も知らぬまま夢の中に遊んでおいてあの羊は仕留めました。ご心配なく。彼女はただ夢に触れる手立て再びよみがえる円環の中では彼女は無力なる観客として
You're not denying it, that you're behind everything?
先ほど望まなかったと春秋様でそこまで私を知り長き宴の末にこのような日が来ようとはなればこそ知りとう存じます。どのように知られたのですか？
Huh? Well, I mean, you weren't the one. You weren't there when everyone came.
それだけですか？
No, not really.
お聞かせください。どのように私を
She gone back to the heart of the matter. She'd probably punch me if I said something like, "You're a spider. Of course, you're pulling the strings." I'd take it seriously. Of course, there were things I didn't understand, or more like I understood because I didn't understand them, though that was kind of complex. It was the spider, the Usamatsu guardian, and the symbol, the spider. Japan had no face that reverted them. Faith. That was strange. Of course, the Usamatsu had a weakness in that people looked down on them because of their nature. However, the amount of suspicion, cruelty, and harshness directed at you was just unnatural, as despite being a good person most of the time, unlike Kiyonosuke-san. I wondered why the Usamatsu had divinity in the Shinai faith too. That was when the spider archetype came to mind, turned my question into suspicion. The Usamatsu, the spider, might have been some sort of exception in the Shinai faith. It seemed to me that the spider god could be an outsider that didn't fit in with the mountain faith. The ritual to take in the corruption easily been the secret centerpiece behind the whole faith, no? It was a miracle that could only cure everything after all. It was something that any new religion would kill to have. Imagine all the inheritance they could gain. If it was the real deal, any cult or dogma with weird origins would forcefully add it to their teaching. That would have been weird, right? The historical documents proved that many outsiders had come to help create the Shinai faith. Some might have been people from some shrines that wanted to take the snake, the monkey, or the crow for themselves. Then they also might have given them authority by putting their symbols on their teachings. The current village heads might have been the descendants of such people. Now, who was to say that the Usamatsu's ancestors didn't enter the settlement? Heretics who believed in a warped god. It was included in the religion, but only on the surface level. The truth behind it had been hidden by the Usamatsus and wasn't included. Umatsu. That made everyone here unconsciously feel that there was something unnatural. Thus they were looked at with scorn, and that was probably why they could take the disorderly profession of prostitution as the fair family trade. Though I was just an exception, you could tell me if I was wrong. Assumption. You could tell me if I was wrong later. Next, it was time for doubts about her as a person. And experiencing the looping phenomenon. At first, I thought it was something that happened once I died, but I realized that wasn't right. I keep my bias a secret, but I realized a few things once I thought about the loops that happened without my death. For example, there were loops that happened without me having any memory of dying. I'd underestimated it, thinking that it was only because of some memories, especially ones of your death, weren't properly saved. However, there were definitely loops that happened without me ever dying. It's just the general image of the loop that gave me the idea that the myths, death, and rebirth were linked, making me assume that I must have died. When I thought of it like that, I started thinking that the loop happened not with my death, but with the dream's master. That was the opposite of how it usually was in such scenarios. Normally, the master's death meant the end of the loop, but most people had died many times with all this looping. Looking at it that way, the loop should have stopped a long time ago. The master should have died, and yet the loop didn't end. Thus, I began believing that the death of its master activated the loop. That would make sense. After all, they could try it again if they messed up. They could instantly take full advantage of all the looping as I'd first thought I had. Of course, it was possible that the culprit was in a safe spot far away, like Kami Fujiyoshi, or just the mountains. That would make them impossible to reach, but they could reach this place all they wanted. Of course, the Migurama observed Yasumizu from a distance, so they could have done that easily. However, there was something strange. I'd seen so many deaths, but there was one person whose corpse I had never seen. It was Meiko. No matter the route, I hadn't seen her final moments. That made her really shady. She's seen that ending once, though, so I figured it wasn't her. She didn't know of the conspiracy. But there was someone else who seemed shady. It was you, Reikako. I'd only seen your corpse once, and it was supposedly all over, but you were hanged in the hall. I looped soon after. While I tried killing myself then, looking back at the mists were already there before I fell. The looping was strangely linked to the mists. For all I know, I might have looped without actually dying. Besides that, I'd never seen any of your... You were the only one who left the game in an unusual way. The chief example of that Yomibuto transformation, you'd gone insane and been locked in, but you stayed alive to be alive, right? Even if your madness was real, it should have been impossible for you to survive inside your house for a few days. If that was just some act, you could have drank some water or hidden some food for yourself to survive. Well, I didn't think it was a complete act, but even so, your actions were strange. The reality that you took in the corruption of the feast actually made my suspicion for you all the more certain. Your Yomabito transformation was just you taking Chimi Serizawa's murder penalty for her, right? You had to have been impossible, which had to have been impossible. After all, the Feast of the Yomi Purge was an artificial killing spree ran by the Migurama. It wasn't something that could be cured by your ability. However, there was someone who knew about the cameras, the Eye of Camera, and was capable of asking them for something like that. Someone could bend the rules like that without undermining Shinai's faith. The Migurama would readily accept their wish to die instead of the actual rule breaker. There had also been one time you told me to run. Had you expected for your desire to succeed for the same reason? While thinking that you looked a bit shady, I found you even more proof of that. If the culprits were really the Migurama, like I said before, they were surely observing this moment too. They could use their safe position to easily press their loop button or something. I considered that the culprit had watched it all from the mountains, clairvoyancy or something, then reset everything at certain times. But the culprit seemed too naive for that. Anyone who watched enough would easily understand that I'd keep my memories. They would recognize me as a dangerous and take care of me. That meant that the culprit had to have the perception of a normal human. Thus, to make something happen in Yasumizu, it had to be someone in Yasumizu. You being the culprit would also explain why you'd prepare Mako a separate place. After all, you knew the mist was coming. And lastly, you said this.
もし明日会えずともいずれまたいずれのせいでより穏やかなせいで
That wasn't right, was it?
巡り合いますよ
The Shinai faith either denied or forbid resurrection. That was why they said, rise not. It was forbidden for something to go into the Yomi, then come back. Someone who could say that was either part of a different faith or knew about the loops. I turned to be right on that. One more thing.
きっかけはわかりませんあの日墓毛越しに春明様を一目見たその時から
This was a mistake that I'd made several times myself. You said something based on memories of an event from a previous loop. I did think you were extremely careful in that regard, but you weren't above slipping up. You said those words in a timeline where you moved to Yasumizu. When we'd first see each other then, you were behind a rock, one of the Okiba at the entrance of Yasumizu, not behind some leaves. And well, that was the day after I crashed and ended up in Chimi's room. Our very first meeting, right? You also had the memories of the loops. From my perspective, did you have any other reason to hide that, besides the fact that you were the one behind all of this?
以上ですか
Yes, not enough?
十分です私は先ほどあなたが私がずらした夢の始まりが私の許しなくそもそもあなたや芹沢様がただあなた様の僕がもうやったというお言葉から少しは考えていたのでもしそうならあなたがなぜか記憶を保っているなら繰り返す宴の中自分たちだけが
Women like that kind of stuff, huh?
愛のみにて死ねる生き物ですから特に植松の娘はね
They sold love and lived by feeding off of it. That didn't make sense. It's strange to hear you speak of love.
なぜ
Your God is one of our grudges.
そこまで
By process of elimination, yeah. It's created so many miracles, yet its divinity went unrecognized because it was wretched. This better God is forgotten. You is the monster of the Tenki Gomo. You are the descendant of the indigenous people of the Ashihara no Nakatsukuni, who were destroyed by the ancestors of this country, the Amatsukami lineage. Its symbol is a ancient original sin. The guilt for the sin lies deep within everyone in this country. Our current prosperity was built on a huge massacre from long ago, and most have forgotten it. They feel in danger. It was a weak but fatal curse-like feeling, and engulfs this whole country, and those infected by it, this too, were too numerous. If materialized, it could create a catastrophe that could destroy this whole country. In the dream, that was abstractly represented by that monster, right? She smiled bewitching and applauded me. That wasn't the silent, bashful Reikeko from before. That wasn't the entrancing, shameless Umatsu, her mask as a prostitute. No, I didn't know which one was the mask at this point.
そう、私たちはその身に夢の土雲を宿した怨念の一族。
She's been acting bashful while hiding the settlement in her heart.
その悲願はヤマトの民の皆殺し。
With that, her sole goal, she praised the devotion sacrifice of the people of Yasumizu and used them.
一度は叶ったその悲願を引き戻した。あの羊と春明様のことは子に暮らしく。
I don't know what you mean. Hate me.
あなたはすでに。だからあなたの記憶をその時点で止めて、あなたは確実に同じ結末にたどり着いてくれる。
I couldn't deny that.
そうなれば、ああ、むしろ愛しくて愛しくてたまらない。愛しきあなたにこのように赤裸々にすべてをさらけ出せる機会をくれて、私の身も心も今とても喜んでおります。
The sudden switch in the tone and the content of her words made me dizzy. To me, she was actually more enchanting and adorable and beautiful than ever. You only love those who help you fulfill your desire.
いいえ、雲は貪欲よ。食べられるものはみんな愛おしいわ。嫌味ではないの。本当に愛おしい。ヤマトの民は憎いけれど、それすらもはや愛おしい。彼らをすべて焼き滅ぼして、この腹の中に収めたの。
She rubbed her abdomen.
そこで皆を地獄の気楽の夢へと誘いましょう。とこしえの官能に泣き叫ぶ一億の御霊を末永く。だから私は本当に皆様を
The
愛
spider's
しています。
anarchy was the great mother. That's what this reminded me of.
とりわけ
She silently looked away. She was bashful. The situation was abnormal, but the gesture was one that she could shake the core of any man. I don't understand. This is beyond me.
わかるわ。いずれご存知なのでしょう。夢の土雲が復活する条件。
I don't. Your goal is the resurrection of that monster, but I have no idea why you have to repeat the feast for that. There's literally nothing linking the two. All I know is that the moment the monster awakens happens under very special circumstances. By that, I mean all the Fujiyoshi people were in Yasumizu when the mists were out had died except for you.
ああ、そこまで気づいて。
I knew it. If that was your goal, I could understand why you planned this complicated roundabout event. Usamatsu have no way of killing many people. Even if you killed one or two, you couldn't complete the job with your frail arms. There are also the fact that the Usamatsu shunned, so you can't survive the feast. That's why you use the time period in which they kill each other. If you fail, you restart. Yes, I know that. That was where the final secret lay. It pissed me off, but I had to ask her directly. But I don't understand. There's nothing in the legends linking the Tsuchigumo revival with Yasumizu or Kami Fujiyoshi. There's no relation between the Okami and the Tetsugumi either. All I can think of is that this is a massacre that utilizes the feast. However, even so, I don't understand why the people of Fujiyoshi had to be sacrificed. I thought it might have something to do with of Yasumizu Yomi, people who died, but that didn't add up. That doesn't explain why Kiyonosuke no Satoshi had been invited to the feast. Why him? His nature? Because of the numbers? Was he necessary as a person? At the very least, he'd been ordered to live here by his family. It was something one's intent, clearly, but whose? Yours? Then why did you need to sacrifice such a strange group? It's weird, mysterious, warped, unnerving, unsettling, reasonable, incomprehensible, so scary. I can't bear it. It's the last mystery. Why do you have to kill them?
かつて愛したから。
That voice, that smile, they were both those of a monster.
植松とは下方の民。一族の怨念は深い。しかし生き延びるために先祖の怨念を、それがもたらす下方の権能をそれこそが忌々しき引き取り。植松の闘士たる女がそのうちに宿す。怨念の権化にして我らが神、夢の土雲。怨念の成就のため、この世のあらゆる害悪を、財業を、王愛を奪い、貪り、蓄えんとする大いなる汚れの雲をだまくらかして、奪った疫病を遮血して排出し、雲の復活を防ぐ。
So that was why she was covered in blood after taking some in.
そうして植松の闘士たる女を万能の厄払いの装置として乱用し、この国で生き続ける。そうやって植松家は堕落した。
You forgot your mission and desired and used the divine power in the completely opposite way.
ええ、その通り。しかし大いなる雲がそのような小賢しき企みに気づかぬはずがありますまい。密かに少しずつ疫病をため、やや子を産んでは逃がす。それを再び集めては蓄え。夢の土雲は、植松の代々の当主は、そうやって一族の目と灼血を逃れ、汚れをためてきた。そして植松の命脈がいざ絶えんとする当世において、ついに復活に足る汚れが集まった。あとはそれを回収するだけ。
So when you say you made love to them,
文字通り愛したわ。そしてやや子を宿させた。
oh man, what a disgusting truth. I heard that the Osumatsu worked hard at purification when there was an outbreak in the settlement. But there was no way you could die, assuming your power is real. And you had to be very young back then.
そう、この村の長者がそんなこと気にするはずもない。
Shit. I heard that Kori-san was very sick when she birthed Yoshitsugu-kun, that she almost died.
私が苦しみを、血の汚れを引き取った。口を使って全部。
Shit. So you took in Haru-chan when she was going through the wolf possession.
ええ、ムジナ様はとても可愛らしかった。あの方とは利害が一致したから、雲の復活には黙認をいただいたわ。天津神の秩序が滅びれば、再び山の闇、 黄泉の闇の牽制が戻る。ああ、素晴らしい。
Shit. The old wolf guy is a huge scumbag bag and he might have done something by force.
あれは思い出したくない。
Chikamochi Kamoshida.
桔梗の振る舞いの相談で引き取りもしたし、彼は可愛いから上藤吉では仲良くしていたわ。
That little. What about Yasunaka-kun?
あの子はちょっと可愛かったから合宿の時に寝てあげたの。
You're the lowest.
あの子は夢だと思っているから大丈夫よ。
Last one. Chimi Cesara. Chimi Muragami Rama. You took in her from she was bitten by the rabid dogs that kept, didn't you?
ええ、その通りよ。
Why did you hide that from her?
だってそれが大昔神内様の軍門に下る上での約束だったんだもの。神内様の汚れは神の罰。おいそれと引き取ってもらっては困る。だから生き取れない。いいえ、生き取らない。
You knew this. Of course, Chimi doesn't remember it though.
びっくりしすぎて細かいことは忘れちゃったみたいね。
Of course, you knew about the necklace too. So that means that you said something like you've seen it for the first time. It was just an act.
ええ、それであなたを助けた。
So all you help you gave me and Chimi had an alternative motive. You felt that we were special.
ええ、ええ、理由は知らなかったけど、あなたたちが円環の流れを変える力を持っているのは明白だったもの。最初あなたがいなかった時、あの子を味方につければ望む結末が見えるかと思ったの。
As a result, she continuously gave Chimi a good impression, making her less suspicious. If Chimi is someone who could keep her memory and found out that she was the bad guy, her conspiracy would become impossible to achieve. But she didn't get there.
ええ、あの子はうまくなかった。
That's why you were nice to me instead.
それはだから言ってるでしょ。あなたは特別、愛おしいからよ。ただただ好奇心の赴くままにやや子を一人一人解き放ち、我が元聡明で淡麗でこの上なく歪んだ心をお持ちの共に大いなる雲の体の上で果てなき閲楽とともに夜道を渡る旅へ。
Path to Yomi.
山は闇、闇は黄泉、黄泉は夢、夢は山、とこしえの夢、無限の快楽。それをこの国のすべての民の屍の上で私はあなたと一緒がいい。最も愛おしい。
She said that with a serious tone. Apparently, a devil had just confessed to me. Oh man, I was actually interested and honored, but
それ以上喋んなくていいや、リカ子さん。
someone got in the way. Chimi-chan. She broke her promise to a god. She didn't think I was good. Several questions came to mind. Why are you here? But that was the first one that I could actually
私は
say.
4番手よ。
What?
みんな
A moment later, that entered Haru, Mochi, and Misato, Rekeko-san. Oh, what a crowd. Mission 2, and it had an unexpectedly development.
野里さんが最初よ。植松さんを置いていけるかって。
そんでボートを降りて戻ってきたおっちゃんをなぜかはるちゃんが追ったから。
仕事を一つ忘れたことを思い出しての。
それでようやく私も呪縛が解けた。みんなが動き出してるのに全部知ってる私が神様殺しの余韻に浸ってる場合じゃないよねって。
So she really had realized my plan. But even so, she couldn't resist
ヤス
God.
君や匠兄ちゃんに後のことを頼んで私がしんがりというわけで、最終局面乱入部隊の隊長はあなたよ、野里さん。正直同情するけど。
Rekeko, was everything you said true? The looping Chimi Sawa told us about our murderess and the monster is all true.
はい、野里様、今まで騙していて
Rekeko
申
used
し
her
訳
usual
ありま
voice,
せんでした。
but that just made it stand out more. She bowed her head.
あなたが私に思いを向けてあまりに滑稽で。そんなお顔はなさらないで。他のお方よりはあなたはそれで春明様との永遠の交わりの寝台くらいにはして差し上げましょう。いいから黙れっつってんですよ。撃つの撃って、それで完全な最後の円環が完成する。幸せな夢、かつてなりかけた最上の地獄を完成させるのはあなたがふさわしい。愛しい愛しい春明様を奪ってゆく私を憎みながら撃って、それをことほぎとして夢をなすわ。
そっか、神様は殺せたけど死んで完成する神様はどうしようもないのか。
どうすんの春明。我はもう土雲殿の企みからは手を引くが、それでも難敵ですぞ。
Man, this was troublesome. I would have liked this to be finished in secret. Mission 2 and lively. Now I'm sorry you had to gather here to hear this, but I still had to say it. I'm thinking of going with her. Everyone lost their expression. Only Rekeko looked at me with
嘘だ。なんで、いくら春明さんでも。
まあ気持ちはわかるかな。りっちゃんかわいいし、しかも魔王とか面白すぎるからな。
Rekeko, please stop. Even if everything is true, there are no joys worth dying for.
お医者様らしいお言葉。
Your life must be painful and your clan must have experienced great hardship, but I don't see the reason to throw it all away. It's walk the path of
まだ
chaos.
ずれているの。私は完全に落ち戻り、永遠の。
That's not true happiness. I'm saying that I can make you happy for saving me back then.
ああ、あの時の坊やが立派になったものね。でも心は純真なまま。初めての女に入れ込んで本当に滑稽だわ。
In a way, sorry. I'll take her. She jumped at me and embraced with the innocence of a child.
好き好き愛してる。ようやくあの時の賭けを。賭け
Gamble?
賭けって
What gamble?
何？春明さん。
Oh, how pitiful. If you cut it out with the unpleasant secrets, the man called Haruaki Fushiashi will entrust Rekeko Amatsu. Haruaki Fushiashi will believe Rekeko Amatsu. I will survive for Rekeko Amatsu's sake, while you will survive for Haruki Fuyashi's sake. I will survive for Reikeko Amatsu's sake. She will survive for Haruaki Fasashi's sake. And if we both survive, you can ask Haruaki Fusashi for whatever you want, and I can do the same with Reikeko. And if we both survive, she can ask anything from Haruaki Fusashi, and I can ask anything from Reiko.
そして生き残りました。春はそしてこれからも生き残ってゆく。あの時の植松理香子を救うための方便とは言わせません。この耳でしかと聞き覚えていますから。
I know.
大いなる雲の前での誓いとみなしますから。
Was it that big of a deal?
もちろん。破れば滅びあるのみです。
Guess I have no choice then.
夫妻師春明様は夢の土雲のもとに下り、それが私の望み。さあお望みください。どのような悪行も宝刀も快楽も私が叶えて差し上げるから。
What a wonderful offer.
なんで
That's just...
優しすぎるんだよ。春明さんはどの女の子も救おうとしてその場限りで適当なこと言って、それで水戸国が滅びるならもうしょうがないね。あなたに救われた私は文句言えない。リカ子さんが救われるのに文句なんてバカ。春明さんの知恵ねえ、落ち着きなよ。春ちゃんはなんで落ち着けるの？春ちゃんだって。
まあ我の場合はこのお方の心を読んで知ったことじゃから。
私が教わったのは悪だし、春明がいなくても好きにするし、気に入らなかったら勝手に。ただね、いたいけない田舎娘に悪を教え込むようなひねくれた腐れ下道の春明がそんな約束すると思う？
Reikeko-san hesitantly worsened her grip. Then she took a step back. Her eyebrows were frowned in suspicion. Oh, how pitiful. I'm Haru Fasashi, a graduate student in Tokyo College. Who's Haruaki Fusashi? I really didn't expect to be caught during marriage fraud. A guy like that doesn't exist. Though I can't be sure. Maybe you'll find one if you look hard enough.
夫妻師春明様は夢の土雲のもとに下り、私と。
Poor guy. I made this Haraki something son share his fate with someone. She can ask anything from Haru Akifasashi, and I can ask anything from Reikeko Amatsu. Well, that doesn't matter right now. I guess it's my turn to ask you what I want from you.
たく。
おお。
What? What? She suddenly took out a dagger from her sleeve.
やはりあなたは最高ね。最高で最悪の七種のゴンベイさん。駆け引きは次に持ち越しましょう。あなたが覚えていたらだけど。
The dagger went to her throat. Crap, I had to make it in time. I had to tell her to stop this conspiracy. At that moment, all light vanished, and the mild midst of that was a scream. It was a scream so scary it was inhumane.
何にも見えないぞ。
おのれもっち、
What are you doing? Where are the lights? This is unexpected and what happened, but going on with the knife, it was so dark. While all I was, I couldn't even force myself to act. I heard something heavy drop on the floor, then something metallic. The next time the lights came back on, before me I saw Reikeko lying on the floor. She wasn't moving at all. She was dead. No, the dagger was clean and still in her hands. Hold her down. Chimi moved. Then Kiyonosuke one took the knife. She was
何
unconscious.
があったのかな？
Rekeko-san, are you okay?
つくづくぶれないな。今気づかれたら困るっての。
Let's tie her up and leave her. There was rope deeper in.
ひどい。
血も涙もないな。
I'm not old. Call me Hasan. And why are you all freaked
言い
out?
方はともかく、拘束は賛成。
We went and did that.
終わった。
目覚ましたけど、舌とか噛まれたらやば。なんか、
Don't be cruel to her.
だから自殺させないようにしなきゃ大変なことになるんだって。
Don't you think she might have been pushed to this point because of this? Because people treat her like an object or a disaster?
おっちゃんがなんかまともっぽいこと言ってる。
Rekeko, can you give me some time? I will admit I have fallen for you hard, I may add, but ever since I saw your dry eyes on that day, I've been haunted by an urge to make them wet. But even so, I can't give up on you at this point. Please, please let me try and make you happy. It was really straightforward, but that didn't matter to her. The spider.
夢の
The spider's gone. She said something we didn't understand.
あれあれどこへ行ったの？私に愛しいということを教えてくれた。
I had no idea why, but I could tell. She no longer had any divine powers or scary conspiracies left. All that the Umatsu's family, Reikeko Umatsu, ever had vanished all at once. And even so, I ask that you, Reikeko Umatsu, abandon the revival and let out a normal, happy life as an ordinary woman, a person. I gave her those cruel words. She began crying. I did feel bad. I had considered taking responsibility for her, taking her with me. The one to embrace her and console her as she cried was Kiyonosuke Nasato, not me. If she chose to take that role, I had no business stopping him. I would just let him have
こ
it.
れで解決いたしましたの。
それでいいの？神様が言うなら信じるけど。
己がいただく神に誓った約定じゃ。たがえることは生涯できまいて。まあ我らの中には未だ土雲殿がやや子と称した汚れ我が力を取り戻しし暁には造作もなくほじくり出してはよ社を建てるんじゃぞ、モッチーよ。
オッケー。
Hey everyone, I'm Haruaki Fusashi.
うわ、詐欺師の人だ。
Ouch.
一応不便だから春明さんって呼ぶけどさ。
Good.
女としてあれはないわ。植松里香子に
You can't tell me you didn't think that you felt she deserved it.
思った。
Such honesty. Well, in a way. Sorry, Rekeko. Goodbye.
様のバカ。
Mission 2, dealing with the Master of the Looping, who wanted the monster resurrection, had been completed. Nothing more needed to be said, even if it gave me things to think about. I still don't know what to say to you. Don't worry about me. Even so, I believe you might have saved her as well as the rest of us. Seriously, don't worry about it. I probably have better ways to do it than this. Probably, I hope I can talk to you again
顔
sometime.
も見たくない。
Rekeko-san.
バカ。春明様の
Unfortunately, I find her lovable even when she's like this. Same. Actually, I wouldn't admit it out loud. I shall protect her. I have no right to stop you. Patiently and thoroughly convince her to change her mind. Talk it out with her. Of course, I shall not do anything one-sided, though. I'll help her survive. Good.
説得などされません。野里様など
Rekako
噛みちぎります。
had become a completely different character. I suppose we can withdraw now. Wait a bit. There's one last thing I had to clean up. You have to walk a bit. That though. Alright, Nasato-san, Mochi, Haru-chan, you stay here. I think it'll be alright, but after
ゲ
Rekako-san,
ボを吐きかけて差し上げ
if that's the most you can do, then that's not much of a
つ
threat.
いていかずともよろしいか？
No. I'll tell them everything myself.
良きかな。おうおう、土雲殿、あの時は散々もてあそんでくれましたな。
What are you doing? Don't touch her like that. Stop them, Mochi.
面白いのに。
It's your job to look after Haru-chan and God.
しゃあない。
In a way, time for the final job. We'll chase back the people coming from the mountain. Mission 3. Deal with the Magaroma, the leaders of the feast. Now, would it go peacefully or violent?
わかったよ、詐欺師さん。
Harsh. Gonna shoot me again?
もう実弾しかないから勘弁してあげよう。でさ、これもう上富士吉まで歩いちゃう流れ？この先何があるの？
I actually don't. Hasa Miyamiya appeared out of nowhere and swung her bag at us. We managed to jump out just in
間
time.
宮さん、そういえば昼前にいきなり引き上げてたけど今芹沢さん、それに
Oh, sorry, I'm the local informative.
あなた方、どういうことよこれ。軽く命の危機なんだけど。
Huh?
一体何なのこれ。春明さん、
Explaining it would take a while.
産業でまとめて。
I didn't want outsiders present for the performance, so I informed them of a potential murder mystery scandal within Gurama and had them leave for Kafumi Fujiyoshi.
みんな春明さんの仕業だ。
Actually, I had Mitsuji do some work, but I couldn't fit that into a
そ
summary.
れどころじゃないわよ。なんなのあの棒切れ持った仮装集団は。こんなのリアル杉村でしょ。
Is that the problem that's blunt?
春明さん後ろ。
Seriously? A wolf actor jumped out of the mist, clad in nothing but a patchwork wolf costume? To me, as now, it actually looked comical, but the power of the weapon, that was no joke. It was about to hurt me bad. Suddenly he was blown away. I heard him groan as he disappeared into the mist. Didn't get up for a round two.
大丈夫かい？
And thus we will continue next time.